Hey everybody, welcome to Cutting Stuff with Joe. I'm Joe and this is how you cut stuff with the Cricut Maker. So first, you need to download the app, Cricut Design Space. Search for that in the App Store or on your browser so you can download it either way. Alright, so this is the window you'll come to if you're downloading Design Space onto your Mac or laptop. So follow the steps and download that. Now let's set up the app. I want to send notifications. No thanks. Machine setup. We'll ask you to put in your sign-in information. Create an ID, it's free. I already have an ID, so I'm going to sign in. Joe@ForthouseStudios.com. Enter password. Okay, sign in. Pick my machine. And let it do its thing. It should start right away. At first for me it didn't start loading this power bar right away and it couldn't connect. I had to make sure Bluetooth was on, so I went to my settings, Bluetooth, found the Maker, or found the Cricut. It might say something else for you guys. Great, continue. Do I want to sign up for this thing? No, so maybe later. Do I want to do this test cut thing? No. I'll skip this step too. Done. So, how to start a new project. Click New Project. I want to upload our designs. So upload. Select an image. Let's go to something I did a long time ago. If you have a lot of different images, your ideal way to do it is to make the page yourself on Photoshop. But you want to make sure it has a transparent background. Right now, this is the silhouette of what it thinks it needs to cut. So it has some rudimentary tools within this Design Space app. You can remove the background this way. I don't know how accurate it is, but it's pretty accurate. But what I forgot to do in this case is make a stroke around all of the stickers. So I like to do a white stroke around everything. I don't think you need to. White's usually best because it's the color of the paper, and then it helps hide the inaccuracies. So this is what I'd do. I'd say next. Next, we'll pretend that this is correct, and we want to print then cut. So we save it as test. Print then cut. Save. And it brings it to our design space. This is why we made an account. And these are my earlier stickers. So let's choose one for now. And we'll try it a slightly different way. This is how you do it when you upload just one image and not a sheet. So insert. It's a little big, so I need to scale down. Scale this guy down. This is supposed to be inches. So maybe go about 1 inch. We'll see what that looks like. I don't want just one image on the page, so I want to duplicate this a bunch of times. So I went to the layers icon, selected the layer I wanted, duplicate a bunch of times. And let's do that, we'll see what happens. And then we just click make it in the corner. And it will automatically optimize the page as best as it can as far as AI capabilities. I think we can do it better if we just make a page ourselves. But so that's what it came up with, right? I know I could fill that space up more. And so you got to go back and forth, whether it's numbers or size, but you could play with that. I'll just continue on. So then let's say this was exactly what I wanted. I would click continue. Now it's time to send to printer, so I click send to printer. Find the printer that it's printing to, and print. It should print directly to that guy. Alright, so now that it's printed, you just stick it to this sticky mat. Make sure it's aligned as close as you can. Push it down nice. That's ready to go. Now select our material. So we can view all our materials. If I want it cut all the way through, I'll typically use the heavy cardstock option, just so I know that it's getting all the way through. But you can kiss cut it, which means you can cut it just halfway through and not all the way through, so it's like a sheet of stickers. So that's something to keep in mind too. So you can play around with the material settings. There's a whole bunch of them. We'll stick with this for now. My tools are loaded. Now I have to load the machine. Make sure it's all sticking down. This mat's a little older, so it's not as sticky. When it starts to lose its stick, you can tape down the edge if you need to. Stick it in underneath these tabs. This button's blinking, so click the blinky button, and it will pull in the mat. Now that is pulled in, this Cricut icon button will be blinking, which is telling you to push me. And so you do that. And it senses where to cut and starts cutting. The mat will feed out the back here, so make sure there's no obstructions in the back for the mat to hit while it's cutting. After it's all done doing its job, this button will start blinking again. That's the same button you use to feed the mat in. So now click it to feed it out, and now you're good to take the mat out and examine your stickers. So as you can see here, there's some spots that's screwed up, and this will happen. This one came out nice, but all these other ones screwed up a lot. So when there's tight corners, when they're this small and there's tight corners, it's a little harder for the machine to do. But it's particularly hard for it to do when the blade is dull. And so since I've used this a lot, and it's been a while since I've done anything to the blade, I'll show you what you need to do. So be careful, this tab pulls out, which releases this blade. And so if you could look closely, will it focus on it? I don't know. But on the very tip of the blade, there's a bunch of gunk on it. Some of it's sticky, some of it's just old paper, and that could be enough to screw up your cut. And so what I do is I have a little ball of aluminum foil and poke it a bunch of times. This helps keep it sharp and clean the edge. Poke it with aluminum foil a couple times. And it should help with that problem when you go to cut again. Already it looks cleaner. Alright, so to put it back in, just rest it there, close this tab, and snap it shut. So I ran it through again after cleaning the blade. It did a slightly better job. It's still not perfect, but it definitely did a better job. So that either means I didn't clean it enough or I'm due for a new blade. So that's just something to think about. And so now you can remove the paper, the stickers from the mat. Sometimes they'll stick, but pop right off. Sometimes you'll be left with some other things you need to clean up, other bits, but that's usually just because the blade issue. And so the rest, stuff on the mat. So then that's when you use this dental tool. It's called a weeder. This is called weeding. So you weed it off the mat, weed out any spaces in between you might have. And there you have it. Your stickers. So any ones that don't come out great, I say still keep them. I use them for packaging and giveaways. Stuff like that. All right. Pro tip: if you print out your sticker page through a computer directly hooked up, you'll have access to print settings, and so you can set it to be a better print. So that's helpful. Second pro tip: I like to use self-adhesive sheets, and that's just a clear sheet to go on top of the sticker sheet. I go over the page a little bit, use a ruler, do that so there's no bubbles. And it's okay if it doesn't align perfectly, but you can now use the sticky overhangs to help stick it to the mat. So when you're cutting with an extra layer on top, it means it's going to be thicker. So there is a setting in the material set. I still have heavy cardstock selected, but there's a pressure default that you could click, and I like to have more pressure. So click more pressure, done. Even though the clear overhangs, I overhangs here, I still align to the paper edge. And then feed it in like you did before. And start cutting. So it just finished cutting, and it's telling me to take it out. But I know from experience that it hasn't cut all the way through in the past with that specific clear coat on top. So instead of doing what we've done before and take out the mat, I'm going to click cut again. And so it's going to go through the same process again and recut the lines. And I'm not moving anything, so it should cut directly on the cuts that it cut before. So we went through the second pass of cut, so I'll take it out now. Let's see how it did. Perfect. Weed them off the mat. And the clear coat gives it a more finished texture, look, a little more weatherproof. All right, and if you can see, over time, the alignment of the cutter does shift. So you can see that one side, one's like the white stroke is a little thicker on this side than the other. And so I will go back in and run a calibration test. And to do that, go back to home, button at the top, print, then cut calibration, and then follow the steps. So it'll give you a printout, and yeah, so then you just follow the steps and calibrate the machine. Let's say I want a sticker sheet and I want a kiss cut, and so I don't want a full cut through this paper, I just want to be able to kiss cut it halfway through. I'll go to the material setting, view all materials, go down to paper, the paper section. This is vinyl, paper. And I do select sticker paper, removable. Then it should kiss cut it. Load it back up. Load button. Let's see if that worked. Alright. So it didn't go all the way through. And now I can just take off a sticker like a sticker sheet. So that was cutting stuff with Joe. I hope you have fun. I hope you will have fun. And I'll see you next time.